G'day everyone, and welcome to Griffinix Tabletop Miniatures. Today we attempt to build our Deimos Pattern Rhino. Now if you've seen the review, or any of the other ones out there on the internet, you have a pretty good idea of what we're in for. Keep that there, it'll be useful. I'll put that over there, slightly less useful. Anyway, only got a couple of sprues, or a few sprues rather. Get the tools. Clippers. Hobby knife. And my glue of choice. Plastic cement by Revell. Wonder where the instructions actually start. I haven't. Okay, just on the side. Right. Alright, fairly simple, fairly straightforward. Just need to cut out these parts to begin with. Alright. I can barely see the writing on this. Alright. Let's get started. Sides up. Cut the next bit. Whoops, get that off. And we're going to get these little side bits off. Oop. Yes, it's not too difficult at all. Just be careful not to cut yourself or any of the little tabs here, a little bit thin. Right off. I don't know about you lot, but recording here today, it is incredibly hot. Whew. So if you hear my panting or breathing or anything like that, I do apologise, but it is stinking hot here in Sydney today. That is Sydney, Australia, for those of you who haven't worked that out already. Did I not? No, I didn't get these bits down here. There we are. Right. Now, I like to build bits step by step and sort of clean up as I go. So I just carefully, with my hobby knife, ensure that I cut away without digging into the model too much. Sometimes it's a little hard to avoid. I just try my best to be as even and light with the pressure I put on the blade to ensure that I'm very careful. Now, a lot of you will notice that I'm cutting towards myself. I recommend you don't do this, unless of course you've been doing it for many years and realise that it's actually allowing you a little bit more control. But yeah, for the most part, I don't encourage you to do this. Make sure you use the blade and cut away from yourself. But yeah, I've been doing this quite a long time, and I myself have more problems usually when I do exactly what I suggested, cutting away from myself, as opposed to when I'm cutting slightly towards. But safety first. So if you're not familiar with hobby building, if you haven't got years or decades under your belt, you should probably cut away from yourself. And there we are, just smooth those up. Those two side pieces there done. Now we've got this one to do. I was thinking of perhaps leaving some of these builds perhaps for live streams that I could do here on the channel. If anyone would be interested in that, you can let me know in the comments below. And for the time being, we'll just make our way through and just see what works with people, what they want, what they don't want, and what works with me as well, and find that happy medium. Until then, like I say, we'll just get through it one bit at a time. Some of the excess bits of plastic out of the way there. Now I often like to, if I'm sitting this blade down, I often like to put the cover back on. Again, safety first. I might adjust the camera while I've got a minute here. Brilliant. Now this is as I've shown on the review video, it is a fairly simple kit, but a nice one. There we are. Clean that up. Gonna have to get quite a few of these rhinos because I have well over 100 tactical marines for the old Storm Griffins 2nd Legion. So I am going to require one for each of those, and then probably a couple for things like my recon squad, or squads rather, and maybe some of my special weapon support or support squad teams, or whatever they're called. Might have helped if I did the outside of there as well. Yeah. Don't want to rush ahead too much. So, has there any of you out there brought this kit recently, or since it's come out? Perhaps maybe you got one for Christmas as a gift? Or another one of the Horus Heresy releases? If you have, let us know in the comments below, and what army you intend to, or legion rather, you intend to build them as. Whether they be traitorous or staunchly loyal. I'd be very interested to hear about it. And of your hobby progress. Just checking I got all those, yeah. Nice. Let's get the bottom of this tank off. Whoa. Oh, just got to wipe away some of that sweat. It's really, really hot today, which is probably not the worst thing in the world. I mean, most of the year, to be fair, we've had a very wet and cold year. Even our summer so far has been one of the coldest on record for the most part, but in the days just before Christmas it really started being hot, so since then it's stayed fairly warm. But then again, it is our summer and that is how it is supposed to be, so shouldn't complain too much. Right, now I'm on the other side now. I will put it all together, but I like to get a little bit more off the sprue if I can before I go too much further. Like, I'd like to get the top and this bit off. If we're going to put the sides and the center together, I like to ensure that it's held together well, securely and stable before I get to any of the rest of the track nonsense here. So I do follow the instructions, I just kind of do a couple of steps maybe in my own order. Just slightly. Sometimes you'll find that with various model kits in general, whether they're Games Workshop products or others. As you get used to building them, you might be like, oh, it might be a little bit easier if I do this. And sometimes you'll think that, and you'll absolutely fail. But hopefully that won't be happening with us today. Hopefully it'll all work out. Get that little center part out of there. Whew. Yeah, it's getting hot. Even hotter. We've actually got a storm coming outside. So clouds have all come over and maintained or trapped in some of that moisture and heat, and yeah, it's just getting stickier and stickier. And I said I can't complain much. Guess I can complain, it's just not much point. Yeah. Now that's got a little bit of mold line there. I'm just going to clean that up. And the same on the other side, just a tiny, tiny little bit. You might find that on your kit if you have one. I even think I might convert myself if I get a bunch of these rhinos, which I will eventually. I might make a command rhino and use the parts from the Space Marine Primaris Impulsor, I think it's called, kit. Just use the radar dish thing from one of those. I've got a few of those spare. The dishes, that is, so I was thinking I might find a way to whack it onto here and do that. If the old Razorback top piece could fit in this little hatch area here, I might find a way to whack that on and then whack the dish into that so it can turn and freely move and whatnot. I think that'd be a cool way to convert it. If anyone thinks that that would be a good idea and they'd like to see it, let me know in the comments below, and I'm sure I could arrange a video on that. Now, it's getting quite cluttered now. I'll move that over. I seem to have some idea of what I'm doing with these now. So I think this one and this one, yeah, I'll start there, why not? Now they've got, okay, this one's got a thing. Just there. There's a lot less plastic wastage I see on this kit as opposed to the old Space Marine 40k Rhino plastic kit, which I probably pointed out in the review, but on closer inspection in constructing this, it appears, yeah, very much the case. No, I do like it, as I said before. That saves, I guess, the environment just a little bit. Not that there's much too much environmentally friendly about this hobby. Look at all these plastic shavings that come off. They end up in landfill and whatever, but no, I'm not going to complain about that really. It's my hobby too, and I enjoy it, and I'm somewhat responsible for all that mess, so no one's perfect. You may have seen there's a tiny drop of sweat that came down there. It's so hot. I'm recording most of these videos at night, just with the hope that it's a little bit cooler. Unfortunately, it is a little bit cooler most of the time, but at the moment, given that storm, as I mentioned, it's quite hot and sticky. There we are. Right. Now let's have a little look. Does it go that way, like I think? Like I'm thinking? No? Does it go that way? Like I wasn't thinking. Yeah, it does. That's much better. Righto. I swear my eyes are getting worse as I get older. Should be to be expected, I guess. I'll get off there. Didn't go. Right. There we are. If you look closely, if you weren't looking at the instructions, you can see you got this little square cut out up here and this little round sort of cut out impression there, and that'll help you to realise which way around you should be putting it. Actually, I might put a tiny strip of glue along here as well. Oh. Don't do it the way I was about to. do it the way I'm doing it now. Yeah, nice. That nice secure bond is pushed down on it a bit. I'm doing that so you can see I'm getting the central part here to stick to the inside of the other door frame on the other side of the part here, on the second piece rather. Set that like that. Nice. Get the glue and stuff and all the bits that join up. I wonder if any of you out there would be considering on using these rhinos as rhinos in their perhaps 40k armies. I know that years ago that's what I wanted to do with the resin ones. I just wanted to order them and have them as regular rhinos in my 40k Space Marine armies before the onset of Primaris. I knew that would be crazy expensive and ridiculous to buy those from Forge World, but as I said in my review, I really love the look of this one as opposed to the other. I know there's not that much difference, but the front of it, that sort of dual armoured piece look at the front, I just think looks sick. And yeah, it's definitely what I would prefer. And if you are doing that, or you have done that, let me know in the comments below, and yeah, let us know what army you're doing it for, whether it's you know, one of the main you know, one of the historical legions, so to speak, chapters, or whether it's a second founding or third founding, etc., or whether you've made up your own chapter. And if you have, you know, don't be afraid to, you know, put a little bit of a description in there as to what your chapter's about. I'd very much like to hear it. There's fan-made chapters and fan-made armies are very much a favourite of mine. Anything, as I like to say, for the rule of cool. I might actually, I could just put that in like that, but I think I'll just put a little extra glue along here. Before sticking that in. Not quite wanting to. There we are. Right, so there's something up here. I can't quite work out what it is. I'll put a little bit of glue on there as well. Just make sure I do that. So if I make any big, little or big mistakes here, you'll see it. You'll definitely see it. I'm not going to edit that out. If I stuff it up, it doesn't seem to want to go in. You have to really push it. Yeah, that is quite tight actually. Just a word of warning if you're building yours for the first time. Just know that might feel a little tight and you might have to really press to get that in there. Now I don't have the strongest of hands, but yeah, that was definitely more difficult to push in than the previous kit, but it is a more secure connection, that is for sure. I'll get that in there. I think that's good enough. I'll just get the glue and run it along in here. Now, of course, you could put glue like this on both sides of the adjoining parts that are connecting, you know, where they meet, to make a nice secure bond, and, you know, give it a little bit of time to soften the surface. But with so much contact area, I don't think it's entirely necessary. But obviously, if you feel it's necessary, then you do that. So I like that. It even has a little rise. I didn't see this. I don't know if you can. Just near where this is pointing, just here. There's a little rise where the side will join. Sort of shows you how to line it up, or where to line it up. I think it's good. Let's see, will this side be as difficult as the other side was? A little. There we are. You can feel, I really felt on this side too. I felt that sort of go to click in. Yeah. You may have heard it as well as I was pushing that just now. Oh dear, I think it's the thickness of this. It is. Alright. Okay. That's something to be wary of. You don't want to be in this position. Oh dear. Thankfully that came out without actually snapping. It's a little bent, but it'll be alright. What I recommend when it comes to attaching this door here, this rear door, is to get out some files. And give it a little filing down. Just a little, not much, just enough so that it moves freely. Because it appears, perhaps in Games Workshop's haste to get these models out, in printing a lot of them, you already have some slightly oversized ends on here. Just slightly. Just a little bit too thick for the holes. Now, I wasn't trying to make a crude joke there. So, yeah. Being very serious. This is Warhammer. This is an object that goes into a hole like that. Yeah. Can't really file out the hole, so I have to file the protruding part. Your filing work doesn't have to be super perfect, it just has to be that tiny little bit loose enough that it's not too snug in there, holding it up from turning properly, you know. So this is why I do a video like this, so that you can see these things before you encounter the issue, or maybe you've encountered the issue already. We'll see. Only time will tell. Whew. It's bloody hot. I'm just rolling it sort of back and forth over this. Now it's not a completely flat one, and I've done that quite deliberately, Because if I used the flat one, I think I would have filed it too flat too quickly. So this allows me to just move it a little as I do it, and it sort of rolls and makes it less like flattened on one side. So it's a little better. Yeah, I would have expected this with the old kit, because I have experienced that with the old kit, but the new one I was expecting like the front of these, that the Proteuses and the Spartan there, and I've got 2 other Spartans that I built. They're put away in storage already. But when I built those, we didn't encounter that problem. So I put that down to it being a new kit and just really well designed, and that, you know, they haven't printed out too many, so to speak, with the molds, with the new molds. So it appears with the Rhino, at least, whether that was the case from the beginning, or like I suggested just before, that maybe they've printed off not necessarily too many, but enough that it causes that issue. I'm not quite sure. But yeah, see, that moves nice and freely. So I'll just push that in and just hold it against the rear there, and just try squeezing this back in. It's going to be a pain, I know that, because it was the first time. It's going to take a little bit of gentle force. Ah, they're much better. Obviously the plastic glue, you know, melting some of those surfaces there just made it a little bit easier to slide it in. Again, not a crude joke, just fact of the matter. Talking about glue here, not lubricant. Anyway, does it go that side? Does it go? No, it does go on the other side. Okay. I'll get this central part in. Put some glue across the bottom. Right there. Yep. And that way we've got, I don't see, so the detailed part faces the door, and the door opens and you can see the detail inside. Now, I'm a bit of a lazy painter when it comes to my own miniatures. I don't particularly like painting the interiors very well. I usually, if anything, I'll paint the interior a couple of base colours just through sprays or whatever, or an airbrush if my airbrush was working, that is. And then I would put some object source lighting in there, like from the top, and shining down, so, you know, because it'd be, in my opinion, probably a dark interior. And that way I don't have to worry about the detail, and it's not like everyone's going to be looking at the inside of the vehicle. Most people will only see the outside, so I usually don't worry about areas like that. Hence why I'm happy to build the model before I paint it. Now, a lot of people will be like, "Oh, you don't do that," if they watch the video. But that's okay, that's their choice. Just like me doing things this way is ultimately my choice. So it's my kit, my money. I'll do with it as I choose. Yeah, that feels different. I feel like I should be putting the glue down the sides, like on the older version of the kit. But no, I won't be doing that. Just get that to stop doing that stuff. Alright. Oh, actually. Let's move that down. And be very careful not to get the glue too close to the back of the door. I realised I didn't quite put glue there. So we don't want it going down in between. And then we want some glue along these lines. And that's something I do recommend you do. Dry fit your parts a bit before you put it together. I'm rushing ahead in this one just because it is, in many ways, it is quite similar to the previous Rhino kit, and obviously I've built a lot of those and a lot of Predators and Razorbacks and Whirlwinds and Vindicators, so they all share the same chassis, same base part of the kit. So you'll just, so I don't get as many gaps, I'm just going to hold that together for a little bit. Now if you want to hold it together and walk away, so to speak, if you had a few elastic bands, I'd recommend just wrapping them around at both ends and the center a few times, and that should hold it together pretty steadily. I might put my thumbs in there as well, just make sure that that lines and glue is all lined up rather. Nice. I've noticed there's a couple of little bits of gap here, but that's because of how I cut it off the sprue, and I'll fill that with things like Vallejo plastic putty. I really like that. I haven't used it much in the past. It's only more recently that I've started using it. But I prefer it over, not in all instances, but I prefer it sometimes over milliput or green stuff. But I suppose you could use any of them really. Just want that to have as nicer, crisper edges as I can get. So I'm just going to really hold that together for a minute or two there. Yeah. Now if anyone's come across this video and has any ideas for ways I can improve, please feel free to leave your criticisms of encouragement, I like to call them, in the comments below. Whether I you know, actually do something with those criticisms or those critical notes is another thing, but at the very least I will read them and at least try to understand your point of view, and yeah, ultimately I guess these videos are for everyone else in the community as much as they are for me to make, but at the same time I am making them for others to view, so if there's ways I can do it better, and if your suggestions are to get like maybe a better camera, etc., I will in time, and I do have a couple of other good ones here, I just don't have the apparatus to hold it up, so bear with us. In the meantime, it will hopefully get better. Now I think that's sitting there long enough. I'm going to go back to this sprue and have a look at the track pieces. Is it suggesting I give it what parts at either end? I like it. It's a little less fussy than the old kit as well. And I really like the plainness of these tracks. Some people don't, because it's like, oh, where's the tread? Where's this? Where's that? But when most of it's under the tank, for like obviously this bit's not. This bit's one of the bits on the side there. But I mean, when most of it's underneath, you don't see it. And so I really think that it's unnecessary. It's an unnecessary extra to do that. And I found a printing error, I think. Interesting. No, I'm just blind as a bat. There we are. No offense to anyone who's blind. But I'm an idiot. Put it that way. I think that's for the other side. Whoops. Oh, no, that's all right. Right. Now I tend to, when I do tracks, I tend to line them up and get both sides off. If I've built both sides of the body, I get both sides of these off. Let's get one of my beard hairs out of the way there. I put the sides there like this and I line them up, and that way I can get them all off and then clean them all up at once, as opposed to one after the other. And I kind of put them in the order that they go in. So it goes up there, and we've got this one. There. And one of these. Oh, jeez. I'm getting very hot and sweaty here. Not that everyone wants to hear that, but I can't help it. It's just so hot. I'm going to have to have a quick drink break, you know? Not the best thing for hydration, but Pepsi is very delicious. I actually prefer it over Coca-Cola. If anyone wants to have an argument in the comments about that, well, maybe not an argument, but a discussion, we can continue that down there. So feel free to leave a comment about that. What do you prefer, Coca-Cola, Pepsi, maybe another brand of cola, or maybe you don't even like cola at all? Maybe it's just all horrid to you. Okay, so if the vehicle's this way, according to the instructions, we've got this little one, then we've got this smaller one, then that one, under there, then this, then this, and this. Alright, so all the rest are the other side. Oh, excuse me. I was hoping I could have this built a little quicker, but it is important not to rush things of this nature, ultimately. So I'll just move that further up. If anyone noticed that little bag at the top there, I've got out some Fire Slayer parts from AOS, some spares from the heads, and we might see them coming up in a conversion video in the future. I've got plans for those. Plans I hope people will like. I think it'll be pretty cool. Missed one there, that goes there. Yep. Sorry, I had moved the camera a little, so I didn't realise I was completely off screen there. Now some could edit that out, I probably won't. I'm more of a off-the-cuff kind of guy. In some cases, for better or worse. Alright. Got those there. Set that down for a sec. Alright, now let's get back to that hobby knife and just clean up these parts. Now just be very careful not to cut in, because you've got the little detail between the tracks as well. You don't want to cut in then straight into there. That wouldn't be all that good. And compared to other locations on the vehicle, it's probably not the worst place to have a bit of a mishap, given that they won't be as noticed, as I said before. Particularly being towards the underside in some cases. Some people also might like to use, instead of using the blade side, some people use the opposite side for the mould lines as well. I used to be very pedantic with mould lines. I used to remove all of them from every miniature, every single one I could ever see. But these days, I remove only what I need to, in my opinion. And it's getting less and less as I get older. Probably because I've got so many miniatures and so many projects that I just, you know, haven't got the time to truly invest in cleaning up every single one as much as I probably should. So yeah, you won't see me winning any awards for immaculate building or painting or converting, but that's alright. As I've always said, I play the rule of cool, and I very much believe in painting in tabletop standard. We don't all have to be heavy metal painters, because we certainly all can't all be. Oh dang, it's very hot. I know I keep saying it, but man oh man. It's like watching the TV in a way, or listening to the radio. You constantly get a weather update. It's bloody hot. Next update. It's bloody hot. Now, if you haven't gathered it already, but the plan I have for these videos is I'll do reviews when I can, and I'll then eventually make playlists on those miniatures that I've done the reviews, and I'll also do a follow-up build video similar to this, a conversion video if that's what I'm doing in the construction, then that's what it'll be, as opposed to a strict build video. And then there'll also be a painting video, so that you can see everything from it from start to finish. Maybe not everything. I won't always do such a long form as this one. I just thought it'd be a good opportunity to have some time to speak and let people know what this channel's going to be like if they are interested in knowing that information. Some people are, some people aren't. and that's all okay by me. So funnily enough, I've kind of lined them up the wrong way around, but that's alright. Let's get some glue on the surface. With the tracks, I tend to put a little bit of glue on these surfaces that they're sticking to, as opposed to on the back of the track themselves. And then I also tend to put a tiny dab of glue. Oh, can't really see that, can you? In the gaps between the pieces. Jesus, my arm's sticking to that every time I put my arm down, so I'm just going to move it. It's annoying me. I apologise if I've sworn at all. I hope you'll forgive the fact that I'm Australian, and therefore sometimes a little bit of swearing comes out and we don't even realise we're doing it. Not to say that all Australians are like that. Apologise to any out there who took offence to that. I know I do. Just do a little bit along that, a little bit in that, along that. That's a bit. I might just move the camera a bit, because I'm leaning a little further forward now, so that might help a bit. Alright. Now, if anyone's interested and they want to see some of my more painted work, I will put up videos about that. My more completed works. I'm just waiting for a light box to turn up, which was supposed to turn up before Christmas, but these things happen. It's not here yet, but when it comes, one of those better cameras I was talking about, I'll do some nice photos and video shots on a turntable so that you can get a full 360 view. And things like that will be added into even to the end of videos like this in future. Yeah. Right, now I might start from the other side this time. Why not? I'm already at this end, so why not do that? Actually, really appreciate that they allow you to get the sprues in light of the tracks like this. On the previous Rhino, you had to, like the little coverings that would go here, here, and the same on the front, were attached to this main centerpiece, and could sometimes be tricky to either put them on or get them in accurately, whether they be their bits on the sides themselves or the tracks. So it's nice that they've thought about that, at least. Or maybe they didn't, maybe it's a coincidence, but I dare say it's a design feature, because I imagine Games Workshop has built quite a few of them, or the staff at Games Workshop have built quite a few of them over time, and they probably were aware of that being sometimes a bit finicky, and therefore could be a problem for customers, for us hobbyists building the building the models. Alright. So this is going to be a long video. Oh well, I suppose the build videos like this will be long. Because as I say, I probably won't edit it down, so that way I can show you everything, every mistake, every little thing, and then you can just fast forward through to the bits that you want to see. Which I think is, well, I know when I'm watching videos of other YouTubers, I don't usually bother fast forwarding through, but because quite often when I'm watching something, I'm more listening to it, and I'm building or painting miniatures myself. So if anyone else is doing the same thing, then I suppose they won't be fast forwarding too much, but they always can, and I might look at putting timestamps in the future. There we are. You might find too, when you come to put these bits on around here, that like with the Kratos tank, this one here, at one of the ends, I can't remember which end it is, one of these bits that sit underneath, sort of on the angle, doesn't quite reach the end of the thing, end of the piece that you might think that you're gluing it to, and so you find that it sits a little lower than you want it to meet the join, so you just want to sit it back a bit and glue it in place, just by a millimeter or two if you're a perfectionist. Now I'm not usually that much of a perfectionist, but you know, I've got to put in a bit of effort on this channel. Now if anyone has actually stuck through this video to this point, that's a miracle, and you've put up with me for that long. That's wow. I salute your efforts. Now I'll sit that there. Oh, actually, see, look, just like I said, even this one, just a little. Just give it that little bit. All right. Now we've got these bits to go on. Well, they're both the same. They're both numbered the same, so I'll just cut them both out. Sorry, I'm cutting out the rear panels that go on the back of the tank. I think they're the rear ones. They could be the front ones. I haven't. No, I think that, yeah, they're the rear ones. Kind of just glancing at the instructions as I do this. Other times I pay more attention, but it's just so similar, yeah, really, in most ways to the previous kit, just with all those improvements that new tooling can bring. Alright, I'll cut all these parts out, cut this little front. I know I've said it before, but I really love the front of this. I just love that chunky armoured, split armoured thing. Whatever you call it, I really like that look, as opposed to the flat one of the Warhammer 40k variety. It makes such a difference, I think. I'm just taking off the side doors here. Now they're numbered 6 and 7. I know I haven't gone through the numbers much before, if at all, in this video, but makes it really simple. They're both the same for either side, so you've just got 6 and 7. It is very hot, and I'll be happy to have a break when I'm finished making this tank, or this armoured transport. Now, how many? Alright, okay. So they are 12 and 11. Alright. 11 and 12. Da, 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 da. So, what does anyone think about the announcements from Games Workshop about Henry Cavill and the possibility of him and Amazon working together to bring, I'll say, as they put it, was it the Warhammer 40k cinematic universe? I think that sounds pretty exciting. I've always been wanting to see a live action Warhammer 40k or Horus Heresy, frankly, show. They could do so many different things. Be interesting to know what you think. If any of you have stuck around in the video long enough to hear me ask about that. If you have, thank you very much. You've stuck around for an hour. Or you fast forwarded through to a bit over an hour. Either way, I appreciate your time. Alright, now that's quite a few parts to clean up. I'll clean them up and now I actually collect Horus Heresy, Warhammer 40k, Age of Sigmar, Necromunda, Blood Bowl, all of that. I collect armies from all of those, or teams in the case of Necromunda, I guess, and Blood Bowl. I collect miniatures from all those ranges. I've got multiple armies in 40k, Age of Sigmar, and one army in Horus Heresy. Really, I have a small Space Wolf force for Horus Heresy, admittedly, but don't do much with that. Not that Space Wolves are bad or anything, I really like them, and I also really like the Imperial Fists. But this time around I'm definitely doing my own Legion. Because the Lost Legions have always fascinated me. Like, why are they lost? What did they do that was so bad? You know, for their statues to be removed from those plinths when you got the Chaos ones, the traitors, they're still there. Things of that nature, you know. I was always very interested in learning that mystery, and I understand that the original writers, I believe, did that so that there was mystery in the Warhammer 40k universe, or 30k part anyway, so there was some mystery there, so there'd be some questions not answered. And I appreciate that, but at the same time, most people who are fascinated and interested in them seem to have the thought and the idea that that was done deliberately to allow one to create their own. Now, as I said, I don't believe that was the original intention, but that's what has evolved in the community, and I certainly have taken that on. If you have any thoughts or ideas or comments on what you think might have happened to those lost Primarchs, lost and purged, or whatever they were, the 2nd and the 11th, leave it in the comments below. Yeah, I do think this would be better for live streaming, quite frankly, but I might need to build up my subscription base a bit first. But I appreciate everyone who does subscribe. Thank you very much. It means a lot to me, and I can't thank you enough. That anyone would want to sit and listen to me waffle on about plastic miniatures is and their fictitious universes is no, it amazes me, but at the same time I watch plenty of YouTube channels too, so you know, I suppose at the same time as being fascinated, I understand. But why you would listen to me when there's better content out there? Thank you so much for coming. Actually, that's another thing. What's your favourite Warhammer YouTubers? Be interesting to hear about that. I'm quite partial to Midwinter Minis myself. Chapter Master Valrak, and you know, he always gets me hyped up for anything Space Marines. The loyal son of Dawn that he is. And Guy over at Midwinter Minis, you know, he's just someone I look up to quite a bit. I've been watching their stuff for a long time. For the AOS fans, I'll probably say I'm a big fan of Doug over at 2+ Tough. Doesn't always do Warhammer content, he does other games as well. I believe Conquest is one of them, and I think he's even done a video in the past on Malifaux. I may be wrong, but I think he did. But yeah. And if it comes to things that aren't, you know, fantasy or science fiction, if it comes to things like, say, historicals, I don't mind historicals, but I prefer the sci-fi fantasy stuff. But when it comes to historicals, I like the 15mm, the smaller ones, and I like the two games by Battlefront, Flames of War, which is a World War II based game, and Team Yankee, which is a fictional World War III Team Yankee, and then Team Yankee World War III. You know, it's a bit confusing, but the latter being a or the former being a sort of what-if scenario for World War III. I've got quite a bit of those, a couple of armies of each, and I'd say I like watching Ah, shit. Don't do that, everybody. When you're putting glue on something, drop it onto another part. I like watching, as I was saying, I like watching Fog of War. If anyone has ever checked out his channel, he puts up a lot of like reviews and things of that nature, and some historical information about some of the things in World War II and those for Vietnam and Team Yankee World War III. Because Battlefront also do one called NAM, a game called NAM for obviously Vietnam. And he seems to have an army from each of those, at least one. I think he's got Australians, British, you know, some Soviets, I believe, as well. And that company just, Battlefront, they just made some nice announcements recently. They're going to add some more nations to NATO and NATO allies. So Sweden and Norway, Denmark and Finland, I believe, are being added to the game, which is something I'm particularly excited about. See, these go together quite easily, these exhaust sections. So it's very simple. Try not to get glue in these little holes here. I suppose it doesn't matter if you get a little bit in there, but if you get a blob in there, it might run a bit and damage some of the surface detail, and it might look a bit rough when you paint it up. So just try to avoid being too overly generous with the glue around there. And just make sure they line up as you put it in place. There. Alright. Now before I go to gluing any of those other bits on, I'm just going to clean up the hatch from the top, because I went ahead and cut that off the sprue just before, if you saw. Just to stick with the theme of cutting out all these parts and preparing them and whacking them on. Alright, now I'm going to put some glue, as you can see, here. I'll be very careful as I come down here. I just want to be very light with the glue there. Don't want it to be too thick, because it might run a bit, or it might obscure detail a little. I got that little bit there, and there's a little bit on the inside there. You can see you can just run the glue along. I'm pretty sure that goes that way. Yeah, it does. I'll just put a little bit in under there, just to ensure. Nice. Do the same on this side. Just run the glue down, and like I say, be careful, don't go down on here too much, because believe it or not, that's the surface. You don't want, that's not getting covered with a part, you don't want that. Getting done. This side you can do, that bit you do, that little bit you do. Up there. I'll just make sure that gets right to the end. Alright. Very Nice. Whew. That heat, it's still bloody hot. Alright, so which way around has the instructions got them? This way. Yes. So I'll set them that way. I'm thinking maybe put this little bit on. Tiny bit either side, just on there. There we go. Nice little landing thing, and that's something I really like about this too. I really like the little landing. Something that's absolutely missing from the previous plastic kit, but not from the much older one. From days back in first, second and third, early parts of third edition. Alright, now we've got to get these ones on, so I'll just put glue on the inside. This bit, just follow that along. I'll just put the glue on both sides. This looks like a fairly straightforward bit to do. I might just put a tiny dab of glue on the outside of there, just a tiny bit. Yep, we'll whack that on. That's nicely in place. I'm sure someone out there will come up with a nice way to pin those and make them so they open and close. But I'm not going to go that far. I think it looks good like that. Yeah, it's really coming together now. I suppose ultimately this taking about an hour and a half, maybe a tiny bit longer, tiny bit shorter in some people's cases to build is fairly reasonable given the size of the kit and the price. It's not too difficult. It's just, you know, like every hobby, it's meant to be time consuming. It's meant to give you something to do, and hopefully it'll be fun. I know I've enjoyed putting this together so far, despite the heat. Not that that's the not that it has any fault of the kit. The heat. It's just how things are at the moment. It's freaking hot. Alright, that's looking good. I'll do these bits, and then I'll do the exhausts. And I might just slightly dry fit that. Does it go over? It does, okay. I was a bit concerned about where to put the glue here on this bit. I can go all the way along that bit, it appears. No need to worry too much about that. Yeah. Yeah, that's a much nicer, look how flush that is compared to, like, I don't know if you can tell all that well, but that's fairly flush. On the old Rhino kit, you would not necessarily struggle, but it would be a little more difficult to ensure that outcome. So, I like that. Definitely an improvement. And everything lines up nicely. That's good. No extra flashing underneath that you have to, you know, cut away carefully without cutting into the armor. Old hobbyists or older hobbyists will remember that for sure. And some young ones too, I must admit. The kit still exists, it's not like it's gone. But I imagine it probably will be soon, as we all move into the Primaris side of things. What do you guys think of the Primaris? Do you like them? Do you hate them? Do you not particularly care? Not bothered by it? Do you have Primaris? Do you have a 40k Space Marine force? I do. And they'll definitely be on this channel eventually. That's for sure. Yeah, I love the front of that. I just really love the look of it. I know I've said it multiple times and I'll probably keep saying it. I also like the front of the Predators and the, is it the Scorpius? The one that's like a whirlwind. Yeah. I think they're great. So much cooler looking, so much better. Alright. Put that in. Yeah. There. Alright. And I do like the look of the exhausts on this a hell of a lot better than those flat, ugly ones, squared ones on the previous chassis. These ones have got nice curves, which is always good. At least in my opinion. Like some of those older cars and things, like, you know, they've rounded edges and stuff, as opposed to a lot of the modern ones that are all very squared. Again, I'm not making any kind of crude jokes, I'm literally referring to design and shapes. I'll get these hatches on the top. I was hoping I could find one of those Razorback tops. I know I've got a couple spares somewhere. I just wanted to see if it fits. You know what bit I mean. I'm sure it probably does. And if it doesn't, you could, you know, do something to make it fit. Like I said, I'll make that command Rhino. If anyone's interested in seeing that, maybe instead of building the whole Rhino, I can just build it up to this point and then be like, hey, now I'm going to customize the thing. So that way you don't have to sit for an hour and 24 minutes. Or thereabouts. Okay, well, there's only one step. Well, two steps on this page that I haven't yet done. It's the headlights. Let's get these headlights off. Yeah, I'll chuck that, well, move that sprue over there. Now it says A4, A5. Right, so this is number 5. Cut that off. The old familiar Horus Heresy accessory sprue for the tank. So that's what I call it anyway. It's probably not quite what it's called, but it's what I call it. Sprue A. It's probably vehicle sprue A for the Space Marines, or Legionis Astartes. something like that. Alright. So 4 goes on this side, 5 on the other. Which way around do these lights go? The big light on the inside. Right. Wrong lid. Just a very thin layer of glue on here. Really doesn't need much. Like that. Just get that into place. I once, actually, on the old Rhino, I made something I'd seen in one of the White Dwarf magazines where they had a front opening Rhino instead of a rear opening one, and had a little extended bit at the top and that. And I did that, and I also put these bits, the headlights, in those sort of recessed areas at the front of the tank. So that's another thing I like, it reminds me of it. I don't have the vehicle anymore. It was stolen from me years and years and years ago. But it is reminiscent of that. And I think it's a much better place than all the way up here, to be honest. I always thought that was a bit odd, because wouldn't that blind who's in here? Then you want them a little bit lower, like, anyway. Just some thoughts I had back in the day. I'm not going to glue those just now. I'm just going to set them there so that they can turn. Now we've got the options. We need to put on the hunter killer missile, or the smoke launchers, or not sure. Given that I'm going to have a few over time to build, I think I'll just make this one fairly standard and fairly basic. Because on the ones that I'm going to have a lot of, I don't want the points cost to be very high. So I'll make it fairly simple. I'll get this bit off because I know that's going on. I'm dying to put this on one of these vehicles. Yeah. Now, where was this from the old kits? Really? I mean, the original plastic one had, you know, not as good a looking one as this, but it had a blade like that. Why didn't the other Rhino that's been around for, you know, 15, 16 years, whatever it is, probably more than that now. Why didn't it have that? I know some of my older conversions even use the blade off the Imperial Guard tank sprue range for a while. Till a lot of their tanks even didn't come with it anymore. But you could still buy it from GW as an extra sprue. Well, it had other good parts on it, but I mean still, like, it would have been nice to just get that in each kit. Smoke launcher. Now I've got this, well, almost got all the parts for the searchlight. There we go, that's all the searchlight. I get the other bits. I think I'm going to put the twin smoke launchers on there and just make it look very classic. someone's going to be like, oh, you should have put the hunter killer missile on. And I was like, well, calm down, I'm going to have plenty of them, so I don't want them all to look exactly the same. Crap, no, I don't know where the other part of the other smoke launcher is. Where is it? I just don't see it. Probably someone watching the video, if they've bothered to watch this far, or, like I said before, fast forwarded to, that are like, it's right there, you idiot. Yep. Am I just... There it is. Far out. It's the heat getting to me, I tell you. I think it was getting to me earlier on. It's really getting to me now. Alright. And then I need the 2 A3s. There are 2 of them. There's one. No, there is 2. Sorry, I'm just... Again, the heat's getting to me. I've been doing this for too long in the heat. See, the thing is, I could have the fan on, but then that noise would be being recorded. And it's a really noisy fan. So, this whole time I've had it off. And I'm cooking. Absolutely cooking. I'll be happy as Larry to be able to stop recording and put that on. But I don't want to let that take away from the fun of making this kit. It really was a lot of fun. I'm almost done. And I wasn't too far off, like guessing there's probably going to be... I thought to myself, between an hour and a half. It was a little bit longer. Not by much. That's not too bad. Maybe about an hour and 40 by the time I'm done, hopefully. Hopefully no more than that. So who's going to want to sit and watch a video that long about building a tank? It's not a conversion, it's not a special thing, it's just a long video. It's not a live stream, it's nothing special. So I'm just going to go with the bolters, if you noticed. I didn't say, probably. But, yeah, I'm just going to go with the bolters in this case. That's better. Why didn't I do that before? Wow, I'm learning something. Apologise to everyone for the boring video. Thank you for allowing me to waste your time. Now, if any of you have joined me for this long, like I said before, at about the... I can't remember what mark it was. But like I said earlier, thank you very much for your time. I really do appreciate it. I really appreciate you watching the video and commenting, subscribing, and of course hitting that notification bell. You know, once you have subscribed and all that, so you can see when I next put out content. Now I can't say at this point just yet what days I'll be doing what, but if you give me a couple of months I will work out a schedule, and it's just I've got some things going on in my life personally right now that makes that a little difficult to work out. Nothing to be worried about, but once that's all ironed out and my light box and other bits of gear have turned up, I think I'll be able to be more diligent and more capable of letting you guys know in advance what I've got coming up and what I'm going to be doing. And as I've said before, if anyone has any suggestions, comments, criticisms, all of it, please feel free to put it in the comments below. Please don't be, don't say anything inappropriate, but, just put stuff down there, and like I said, I will read it. Whether I enact your ideas or thoughts is another thing, but I do appreciate your comments, even if I don't respond to you, which I will try to do, especially in these early days. If I don't think that I'm ignoring you. I have heard your comment and read it rather, and I thank you for it. Alright, now let's glue this together. Right. Now, when I said there's going to be a lot of converting and kit bashing on that introductory video a couple of months ago, I meant it. I am an avid convertaholic and kit bashaholic, and I will showcase a lot of the work that I've done in the past, and I will then continue to make additional content in a similar vein. Because the number one thing I live by with my Warhammer in particular is the rule of cool. Whether it's something I've heard of in the lore or something that I've just thought would look good, either way, as long as I tell my opponent what I'm doing when I'm playing the game, I think it's more than fair to, and that they do the same with me. They let me know what their unit is or whatever, if it's a little different from usual. But I'm pretty sweet with the rule of cool. After all, these things cost a fair bit of money, and to have someone say, "Oh, you can't do that," or "You shouldn't do that," it's just disencouraging, isn't it? And disheartening as well. And I just think, yeah, well, you can choose not to do it, but I will. So yeah. Love to hear about your conversions and kit bashes and stuff, some of your favourites. If you've got favourites, that is. Please look at that. The heat really is getting to me. I missed a little bit on the top there to clear off. How's that going? I'll just get that little bit. There we are. Straighten that up. Alright. Let's start getting these glued on. Well, I'll take those off, actually, before they fall off. Probably can't see me now. Jesus, I will get better, I promise. I will make efforts. To be honest, I've never done anything like recording and videoing and editing, and I'm not even really that proficient with the computer, to be honest. Haven't had one for 15 odd years, so, and some people might be like, "Oh my god," just haven't had one, so yeah. So it's a learning curve for me, big time. I'm sorry if if I start humming or making a tune. I probably have been throughout this video. I apologise. I just hope I don't get copyright strike for it, to be honest. Oh, he's humming a tune. It's owned. Woo. Let's clean up the bits on this dozer blade. Alright. Let's get that in place. Oh, I'll put a little pressure on the smoke launcher. I don't want to do that. Level it up, make that nice and level. Looks a little off. And there it's a little lower. Just get it to that line, I think. That's good enough for me. I missed the spot on these. Do that and that. Just clean these up. And then we'll have the thing put in. Wow, the video is going to be almost 2 hours long now. I wonder how long it'll take to upload. Probably a while. Well, I hope this video has been useful to those out there who have stuck through. Hope it's useful to somebody. Tempted not to glue these in. Will I glue the? Yeah, actually, I'm going to have quite a few of these tanks, so I don't want to lose the tops and bits and parts and whatever, so I will glue it in. I don't want to have to go around chasing all the parts all the time. I glued these ones in, so I mean, over here on my Proteus Land Raiders and the Spartan Land Raider. So, yeah, I figure I may as well just glue these in. Let's try and straighten them up. Yeah, that looks fairly straight. Maybe that one just a little bit. Yeah, that one just a little that way. And then glue the little lids in. I will do others with like the heavy bolter option and things like that, but this is closer to the classic old plastic Rhino that I remember, and just brings back so many memories of the little bolter on each of the cup holders or something. Is that what you call them? Well, there you have it. We've gotten to the end of the video. We've built the vehicle within an hour and 45 minutes. The video may go a little bit longer than that, but at 1 hour 44, 50 something seconds. Just under an hour and 45 minutes. And you too could build this kit if you picked it up. You'd probably do it even quicker than I did. I was very slow given the heat, even though I was trying to be a little quicker. But yeah, don't forget that you might want to file these bits on the door down. Just test fit it first, and if it's really tight and you don't think that both ends are going to go on nicely, yeah, file it down and then look. It's no problem. Once it's filed down just a bit, easy as pie. And there you go. That is That is the Warhammer Horus Heresy Deimos Pattern Rhino construction completed. Yeah. I'm glad it's done. Took a bit, but nice big view of it. Now, thank you very much for watching. If you've made it this far, and even if you've fast forwarded through, I thank you for coming and stopping by and having a look at the finished product. But yeah, if you have any comments, please leave them down below in the comment section. Don't forget to like, if you did, that is, and to subscribe and hit that notification bell so that you can find out when I have another long-winded and rather boring construction video, or one of my other slightly shorter and maybe more interesting videos. Anyway, I thank you very much, very, very much for your time, and I'll catch you in the next one.